Welcome Tampa Bay. Here we are back again for another DuPont Registry Tampa Bay Live, our session on Facebook Live, coming to you today from the World International headquarters of the DuPont Registry and DuPont Registry Tampa Bay, located right on Almerton Road in the Gateway area, which, an important note here, at one time was supposed to be the location of the Rays baseball stadium, but we'll skip that for the moment. That's old history. But I say that with a lead in that today our special guest is Bill Walsh, who's Vice President of Strategy and Development since January of 2015 with the Tampa Bay Rays. Welcome, Bill.
Thanks so much for having me.
Glad to have you here so we can talk a little bit about baseball, but what an exciting start to the season.
It's just incredible, right? So much fun to watch.
I can't stand the pressure at Tampa Bay sports, though. The 1 minute you guys are coming up out of nowhere, the big team on top is coming down like a crashing the Lightning. They play tonight, so for all of you who are watching, do not forget to turn on the TV tonight and cheer on the Lightning. If there's anybody that can come back from 3-0, or 0-3, I guess is the way to say it, it's the Lightning. And it'd be terrific to have them do well. I mean, they're a great bunch of guys, great owner, great stadium, great venue, but it's exactly the same thing with baseball. The Tampa Bay Rays, their history. How many years has the Rays been here?
Over 20 now. Yeah,
Over
absolutely.
20 years.
Yep.
Well, we're going to digress here in a minute or two, and I'm going to talk baseball history in Tampa Bay that, because you're new enough to the area, you probably don't remember, but I remember distinctly from 20 years ago. So this is the best start the team has ever had?
It is, and currently the best record in baseball, best winning percentage.
12-4.
Baseball. That's right.
That's just phenomenal. So exciting, and lots of young talent on the field. Oh, you got to go see it. Don't stay home. Go physically see what's going on. We've got pitching, we've got defense, we've got hitting. We rank way up there. USA Today did a poll, or they do a regular poll, and they found them in the American League as number 2. And by the way, the Yankees, we all know, local team here that plays in New York, are 13, and the Red Sox are 16. And those are the two big guns in the American League we like to go after.
That's right.
But I thought it's interesting. Rays are ranked second behind Houston.
That's right. Yeah.
So they'll be ranked first here shortly, I'm sure. So they're the best in the business. We're about to enter a homestand, so we want to make sure everybody understands this from the get-go. Tonight, I think, 7 o'clock is first game against Baltimore.
That's right.
3-game series.
3 games. Boston comes in this weekend.
And Boston comes in over the weekend.
That's right.
And then Kansas City.
Yep, early next week. Yep.
Early next week. So you're really looking at a terrific advantage here to be able to go see some serious baseball. Of course, see the Red Sox. They're quite an interesting team. And if you want to see some stadium contrast, we have all these modern new stadiums. We have the Trop, and then we have the Boston Stadium.
Fenway Park, sure.
Fenway Park is so old and antiquated, but it has got charm.
It is a gem. It really is a classic baseball park.
So one more baseball statistic we want to make sure you know about, and then we're going to talk a little bit about Tropicana Field. The Red Sox payroll $227 million a year. The Yankees are right behind them at $208 million a year. And where are the Rays?
You gonna quiz me?
I got the statistics, so I don't have to find out if you know or not, but it's something where you should know all the time. 60 million.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the lowest in baseball? And they are way ahead of the Yankees and the Red Sox, who represent 2 of the highest in baseball. So it's been an exciting opening to the season, and Tropicana Field went through some major renovations over the winter or summer, or the end of the fall.
Yeah.
So the fan experience is upgraded.
It is.
Tell us a little bit about it. I understand
Yeah.
you've got some special fan locations and everything.
Yeah, so I mean, really, the last couple of years have seen a huge overhaul to Tropicana Field, and as you mentioned, we're playing some tremendous baseball. So that enough is a reason to come check it out, right? But we recognize as well that the fan has evolved over the years. I've been here in market since 2007, and even over that period of time, the way the fan takes in the game in sports and entertainment really has changed dramatically. So we have to change with those times. I know the efforts for a new ballpark are much publicized, and frankly
Certainly are.
And it's a roller coaster, right, to kind of follow. But in the meantime, Tropicana Field is our home, and we've been very committed to investing in that facility to make the best fan experience possible. So the last 2 years, we've put about $15 million into Tropicana Field, overhauling everything from kitchen and cooking equipment to hospitality spaces to restaurants and social areas in the ballpark. We have new seating sections that we just launched this year. So really, the last 2 years have really seen a huge overhaul to the experience. It was really fun walking around on opening day and throughout the opening weekend, talking with fans who hadn't been out to the facility in 3, 4, 5 years, and just were blown away by what they saw and by the experience.
Well, believe it or not, way back when I went to the first NHL hockey game, exhibit game in Tropicana Field.
Sure.
And it was late summer. Actually, early. It would have been in the late fall sometime. It was before the season opened. It was against the Boston Bruins, and the Lightning got out and skated around, and so did the Bruins, and they skated around for a little bit, and all of a sudden, this green goo started to spread out over the ice, and the ice was so thin that one of the skates had cut the coolant pipe.
Oh my gosh.
And that was the end of that exhibit game. Prior to that, the Lightning played out in a barn, essentially, at the State Fairgrounds on the east side of Tampa.
Okay.
Which was a great location, but just a horrible facility. I mean, when you sat in the top row, there were rafters coming by your cheek. And there was only room for 8,000 people. Yeah. And if you wanted to go to any kind of facility, you had to walk outside and into a temporary tent if you were looking for either restrooms or food, either one. Because otherwise it was seats and ice. And then, of course, they built downtown with the Ice Palace, hence the Amalie Arena. And it's been all uphill, tremendous growth for the Lightning. But in the meantime, Tropicana Field has evolved, an indoor stadium.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a game Friday night.
There is.
And there's a 80% chance of rain.
We're getting to be that time of year, right?
So go to the game, you won't even get wet. You might get wet getting from your car inside. That's an important point. How many ballparks can rival Tropicana Field's ability to park cars nearby like
Very, very, very few these days. I mean, certainly Los Angeles, Milwaukee, a few others, but very few have the big kind of sea of parking.
It is a fan convenience. So even if it's raining, you take a little umbrella, you pick a poncho, you can get in pretty quick, and it's not that difficult to get to.
Yeah.
And it's quite an interesting stadium. So food-wise, you got some new restaurants this year?
Yeah. So a big theme that we've heard from our fans. We always try to listen to our fans first, right? They always steer us in the right direction. And I think local authenticity and just the point of pride that folks have locally in the food and in the culinary scene here in Tampa Bay has just risen dramatically, over the last 5 or 10 years. So we've got some great partners coming back. Steve Westfall, who you probably know, with his wonderful restaurants on Beach Drive, has a stand called Beach Drive in the Third Base Food Hall with some wonderful offerings from his restaurants. He has a lobster roll there. He's got some very wonderful high-end food items. We've got a new upstart at Pacific Counter, which is kind of like a fusion sushi protein bowl type concept. Very popular with younger
Protein
folks.
balls at a baseball game.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
What's the world
right?
coming to?
I know, it's more than just hot dogs and beer
Hot dogs,
now. It is
beer,
incredible.
popcorn, and peanuts.
That's right. That's
Okay,
right.
we'll
We've got
survive.
we've got beachside hospitality from Krabby Bill's and Krabby's Dockside with some great kind of Gulf seafood fare and grouper sandwiches. And really one of our most popular offerings in the last couple of years has been our partnership with a restaurant group called Hunger and Thirst. And they own several restaurants in St. Petersburg. Actually just opened one in Tampa on the Channel Side area as well. They have a bar concept called Park and Rec, which we have Ballpark and Rec at Tropicana Field.
Super.
And it's one of these places where you can go and play cornhole and trash can pong. They have video games and skee ball, and all this is in Tropicana Field. About 50 yards from the Budweiser porch where you can see the game. So it's a very unique space within the stadium.
And tell us a little bit about, there's an area called Left Field Ledge.
Yeah, so brand new this year, the Left Field Ledge. This is a concept that really came about when we were doing a bit of a listening tour for our new facility. And, sitting in long linear rows of seats, while certainly is tradition, it's not exactly the most social way to take in a game, right? And baseball, unlike other sports, really lends itself. The pace of the game just lends itself to being that type of social atmosphere. So we started to ask ourselves, what can we do differently? How can we kind of disrupt the way this has been done? And there's a few different products and concepts that have come out with really tables of 4 these half moon, half circle tables,
Sure.
4 seats stationed around them. So you come with a small group. It's kind of a premium meets social environment. It's wonderful for small businesses, for for families, for groups. And these are out in the left field. They're above the cross aisle. They are in their own kind of private seating pods. And there are 17 tables of 4. It's called the left field ledge.
Great.
And they have some wonderful amenities. So aside from the views and kind of the privacy and the uniqueness of the space, they come with all you can drink beer and wine. Waiter and waitress service will bring those out to you. They come with snacks, and there are touch screens where you can order food from some of the best carts all around Tropicana
Brought
Food,
right
and
to
they
you.
bring them right to your table.
So does it come with a little card for Uber, so that you can get a ride home if you're going to have all the beer and wine you can drink?
Absolutely, we do have an Uber pickup spot as well.
What a blessing that deal is.
Yeah.
I mean, especially I live up in mid-Pinellas near Clearwater, and for me to go to the ball game, it's so easy to drive my car and park.
Yeah.
But it's counterproductive if I'm going to have a couple of beers.
Absolutely.
So to grab an Uber, go down there, and let's face it, it's not like the end of a hockey game or the end of a football game as it winds down, and particularly after the 9th inning as you're enjoying the quiet down. You can wait a few minutes and you get an Uber. Boy, bingo bang, you're out, you're home, and you've had a great time there.
Yeah, it's really changing the way people even think about designing stadiums now in terms of the amount of parking that you need
Sure.
and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, one day they say we're not going to have any cars. We're just going to be riding around in a couple dozen Ubers and some electronic transportation. Do you have a place to put the electric scooter that comes out from downtown St. Pete?
We are actually working on getting some charging stations installed in our parking lot. So.
I was just overseas, and the proliferation of electric board scooters, the little ones that you push,
Oh yeah.
and they happen to have a little electric engine on them, and then they got a brake on the rear wheel.
Yep.
And there are hundreds of people, sidewalk, road, you name it, going up and down the streets. Pretty unusual way to travel compared to what we do in suburbia. So let's go back to the beginning here. Tropicana Field, you weren't here when it was built.
That one was built? No.
But that's an original back then. And if you follow the history of baseball in the Tampa Bay area, I was part of an organization called the Tampa Bay Baseball Group.
Yep.
And we made every attempt to get a team here imaginable, negotiating deals with any major league franchise that looked like it might move. Much to the chagrin of Major League Baseball. They wanted nothing to do with moving franchise, never did, never will. They'd rather add them. So after a couple failed attempts, we actually entertained quite an interesting partnership to tangle up with the Minnesota Twins. And we thought, Minnesota Twins, Twin Cities, St. Pete, Tampa Bay Twins, perfect. Got the whole deal done, and we were informed by Major League Baseball that wasn't going to happen. And a fellow named Carl Pollard wanted to be a member. So we actually, my group, the Tampa Bay Baseball Group, were Major League Baseball team owners for about, I'm going to spread it a little bit here, 2 minutes and 30 seconds. As we passed the paperwork from the current owner to us, to Carl Pollard, so that Carl could take over the team. And at that point in time, we were told to come back, we'd get an expansion franchise. And we were in the race against the Rays owners that ended up with the privilege. And so I have the shortest lifespan of any Major League team owner. But you know what? Every one of us was devoted to bringing Major League Baseball to this area. We thought, even though we're a lower profile economic region compared to most baseball stadium areas, we thought we had the basic enthusiasm here, as long as somebody didn't overbuild. And you have an upper deck now that might not be in play very much.
We did close the upper deck down. One of the the big moves that we made this past off season. Again, looking to some of these ideas that came out when we were planning for the new facility. We started to ask ourselves, why not try some of these things now? You see, I think, the tremendous culture of innovation that this organization has, that I'm so proud to be a part of, and certainly what we do on the field is what we're perhaps most known for, but that really transcends throughout the entire organization and the decisions we make on the business side as well. So, closing the upper decks, knew it would be, perhaps a bit controversial, and require some real effort to keep the folks up there who have season tickets and want to stay together with their groups and with their families together as we relocate them. But felt like we had invested so much in other areas of the ballpark that the gap in the experience between what you could get on the 100 level, for example, between what fans were getting on the 300 level was just too wide. It was no longer something we felt like was was something we wanted to associate with our brand. So we made that decision to close it down. And truthfully, through the first homestand, it's worked out really nice.
I'm sure it has. The feeling of being more intimate with what's going on in the field is important.
Everyone's closer down.
You know, what's important to realize here is not only the Rays innovative in what they put on the field, with Moneyball version 2 coming out here,
Sure.
was just phenomenal to see the return on investment for having lower priced younger players come in and set all kinds of records, Cy Young and you name it. But the same effort goes on off the field. Mm-hmm. And the Rays organization is known throughout baseball as an innovative baseball facility management experience. And they're known as leaders in new concepts, not old and not copycat, mm-hmm. but actually new ways to do things. And I think that's a great tribute to the ownership group that really takes its time and studies what we as fans would want to have.
Yep.
There's only one thing you can't bring back for us, and I don't smoke cigars anymore anyway, but the old days of outside, 85 degrees, sweaty,
yep.
hot, drinking a beer and smoking a cigar, that is definitely out of the fan trend anymore anyway.
It may be classic Tampa Bay, but right, it is
well,
a bit out of trend.
It was classic baseball and of course classic Tampa Bay to have a cigar as well, part of our heritage here. So where are you going for next year? You got any more improvements planned? Anything up your sleeve we can sneak out to the fans?
Yeah, well, really always. So, you know, each season we make investments in the facility. The last 2 years have certainly been, you know, a bit much. Really catalyzed, I think, by bringing on a new food and beverage provider, Levy Restaurant Group, replaced Centerplate, who was our hospitality partner for about 20 years. So, you know, trying to breathe some new life into those spaces. And you know, we're going to continue to invest in Tropicana Field. You know, when I walk around each year, I've been at the organization 12 years. Each year, the experience has gotten better and better and better. And you know, we say, fortunately, every opening day, that Tropicana Field has never looked better. And it was true this year, and I'm sure it will be true next year as well.
So, Bill, what kind of experience did you have before you came to the Rays? Where'd you come from?
Yeah, I had you know, no real plan to work in sports. My background actually is more in public policy and urban planning, actually. I worked for the Bloomberg administration for about 6 years doing public policy and economic development work in
New York City.
Yeah. So that was tremendous. Kind of got involved a little bit in baseball just through some of the new stadium projects that happened in New York. And I've always really been a huge believer in the ability of baseball and baseball stadiums to bring people together.
So were you part of the Yankee evolution?
Tangentially.
You saw it happen anyway.
Yes, watched it unfold.
It's amazing. That's amazing. What an organization that is.
Yeah.
So in politics, you stayed away from the heavy politics and just stayed with administrative responsibility.
More of a public policy wonk than anything else. Yeah.
So would we want Mr. Bloomberg to run for president, or?
I'll have no comment.
You'll pass on that.
I think he's going to make that decision on his own.
So you came here from, I guess, living in suburban New York someplace.
Yeah, I grew up in Connecticut and went to graduate school in New York City. Lived there for about 7 years and moved. I like to say I moved from 91st and Broadway to 87th Avenue in the Gulf of Mexico with my wife right after we were married, and we haven't looked back. It's been a tremendous, you know, region. The quality of life here, as all of us know who live here, is just phenomenal. And you know, we're happy to have a family here now with 3 children, and it's wonderful.
Well, it gets better and better every day, every year, with the kind of investment that our major corporations, not only in sports and entertainment, but all the manufacturing, all the administrative companies that are centered here and have offices here. And with that comes attractive jobs, which comes a building up of the area that has been phenomenal. I moved here in '76, and I would say the only drawback is there's too many of us. Everybody wants to live in Tampa Bay, and Pinellas County is starting to look a little bit like Los Angeles on a Thursday afternoon rush hour. Yeah. But that's the price you pay, and as long as you take your time, something about that 87th and Gulf, is that where it is?
Yeah, it was out at Treasure Island. Yeah,
that's not a bad deal, and nearby recreation is phenomenal. Yeah. So the Rays are 12-4. They've got a 9-game homestand coming.
We do.
So get your tickets. Let's go. We're ticket holders, season ticket holders, DuPont Registry Tampa Bay. We do promotional activity, advertising in our magazine, DuPont Registry Tampa Bay. We have a great partnership with the Rays. We've been able to call on you guys and say, we need a little help here, and boom, we get a bunch of pins or hats or something to give out to some of our clients. We'll be down for our annual, probably early summer, get together with a group of employees, and we'll
Great.
end up in either suite, or maybe we'll be at the left field ledge.
Check it out.
We'd like to do that, and everybody should go to a game. You know, it's a terrific way to spend particularly a rainy evening in Tampa Bay. You don't have to worry about getting wet at the stadium. So any other information on the stadium we need to know about, Bill? I mean, it's almost like a brand new stadium every year, but this year in particular.
Yeah, I would say there's something for everyone. You know, as I mentioned, the fan experience has evolved. It's not just about sitting in your same seat for 9 innings anymore, you know, and keeping score, although we certainly have a lot of folks who like to do that. But, you know, whether you've got a family or, you know, you just even want to swing by for half the game, you know, on your way out for the rest of the evening, which we see a lot of on Friday nights with, you know, inexpensive tickets and beer specials and things like that. There's something for everyone at Tropicana Field, and we hope that everyone comes and checks it out.
So let's see. Last year they got 90 wins total,
That's right.
which isn't bad.
It's not. We had a rough start last year, too.
Had a rough start last year, and it's been a 5-year drought since 11 years ago the Rays were World Series bound.
2008? Yes.
2008. So it's time to do it again.
Agreed.
So if we're going to go to the World Series, we have to have a good stadium. We have a good stadium. We have a very enjoyable venue down there. Plenty of room for you to show up, plenty of room for you to park your car. And thanks so much to the leadership of the Rays for what they do for this community, because whether you know it or not, they're active with all kinds of organizations where they reach out to the community and try and make things a little bit better. Obviously, the players get a little bit quarantined during the season. They don't want them out there doing something where they might break their leg, or put a nail in their thumb or something like that. They can't do anything like that. They'll make appearances every once in a while, but every one of them is become a leader in the community and make the community better, especially for those less fortunate.
Yeah, that's true.
And so summing up, homestand against Baltimore, Boston, and Kansas City.
Mm-hmm.
And let's remember this is economically important. If you're going to take home one little bit notice today, USA Today reports the Red Sox payroll is $227 million. The Yankees payroll is $208 million, and the Rays are $60 million. So you know you have a bright, innovative organization from the general manager and the coaching staff all the way through the front office, the back office, into the development office that know how to take care of the field and the fans. Sounds pretty good?
Thank you very much.
Another
Appreciate it.
great day here at Tampa Bay, DuPont Registry Tampa Bay. A pleasure to have somebody come from the Tampa Bay Rays, especially Bill Walsh, who, let's see, the official title, Vice President of Strategy and Development. So if you have any strategic comments off the field and any comments about development of Tropicana Field, give him a call. He's the man. Thanks for coming and sharing some thoughts with us. We look forward to seeing you at the stadium. And one last good one here, go Rays, but also don't forget tonight, go Bolts. Big night for the Tampa Bay Lightning, and they got no better supporters than the guys on the baseball field at the same time. It's absolutely wonderful to be in Sports City, Tampa Bay. Thanks so much for listening and watching. We appreciate it. It's the DuPont Registry Tampa Bay coming to you from the world headquarters. We look forward to seeing you next week on another chance to go with dRTB Live. Our organization also prints magazines, hosts events, has a great digital presence, and lots of social media going on, and of course our live podcast, Facebook Live from headquarters. So go out and make it a great day, Tampa Bay.